All right, so today we're going to talk about the assembly of a Pro Torque D-cut front steer axle. Conventional wheel in, which conventional wheel in is going to be all the way across the board, single nut system. Pro Torque is going to be the 211 procedure. The 211 procedure can be found on Stemco's website. It could be found in Dickinson Fleet Service websites as well. Along with this video. All right, so we have already docked our hub assembly, and we're getting ready to install our end result of the wheel end. All right, so we've already done our inspection. We've inspected the locking retention devices on the Pro Torque nut as well. Anytime we remove a Pro Torque nut by manufacturer's specifications, we must replace the retention device, the locking tab. This locking tab has a particular part number that matches the nut. The identification is the first 3 digits of the retaining clip is going to be 450. The last 4 digits are going to be the part number of the nut. So if you are replacing or reusing a nut, we must replace the retaining clip. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we've done our inspection. We know we've got brand new retainer clips. We're going to install our outer bearing. Lifting up just a hair. Line it completely up. Our D-cut washer is going to have the flat indicating it's a D-cut, right? This is your locking device for your bearing retainer. So the next thing we're going to do is install our Pro Torque wheel nut retention device. And we're going to get it to, whoop. Well, come on. There we go. We're going to take this down hand tight with our hands till we make contact with the bearing. Once we make contact, we want to roll it a couple of times, then snug it again as well, so that we know that we've got our bearings lined up and everything is in line. So the next thing we're going to do is the 211 procedure. The 211 procedure is 200 foot-pounds while rotating. While rotating the hub, we're going to tighten, rotate, rotate. One time. We're going to rotate the axle, 3 more turns, 1 more click, 200 foot-pounds again as well. Rotating, 3rd time, continue to rotate. That's our 200 foot-pound torque rate. Next is the 1 in the 211. We're going to back off our retention device 1 full turn or until the assembly is loose without rotating the hub. Loose is not a full revolution. If you can turn this by hand, it is loose. Stop right there. Turn it back to just contact. Now we're going to perform the last one of the 211 procedure. It's 100 foot-pounds. Rotating the hub. First time. One more. stop. Now's the cool part. The 2-1-1 procedure is, with a single nut system, is one full face mark. Back off. We do not need to know the thread pitch. We don't need to know the size of the spindle. All we need to know is how many face marks are on the face of this axle nut, the retention device. On this nut, we have 4 dimples, indicating that it's a 90-degree back off, or 1/4 turn. Okay? So what we can do is we can identify where the dimple's at, and we're going to back it to this dimple, or we can take our ratchet, putting it at 3 o'clock position, we're going to back it off to 12 o'clock position. That's a 90-degree back off. Pull the socket off. We did not move anything at this particular time. Once we have that set, put our locking retention device, our keyway always goes into the undercut groove of the nut. If it will not go into that undercut groove, it is not properly seated. So we lay it in face first, get the undercut groove, line it up, take your pry bar or tech driver and rotate until it pops into the groove. Same thing on the lower end. Lift up, push in, and with a little finesse, you can get that into the undercut groove. And if you can see that the flag is in the undercut groove, it is locked in. You see, if you can notice, that nut is still loose. Appears to be loose. That is what we're going to get our 1 to 5 thousandths end play. So when we're done, that's all we want to see. Now that we have it completely locked down, now we want to connect our dial indicator. And we're going to check our end play. Always when you're doing end play, we always want to go to the fixed portion of the hub to the spindle. The spindle is the only part of this hub assembly that is never going to move. Okay, so once we've got the dial indicator set up to the spindle, we want to zero our meter. We always want to make sure that we have in and outward movement on our dial indicator. So when we got that hooked up, we want to pull and push. The measurement that you receive pulling and pushing added together will be your allowable end play. We have approximately 2 there and approximately 3 completely total. So our wheel end is correctly installed. So now as of this time, we're just going to put our hubcap back on, and then we're going to fill the cavity with oil, and then we're going to recheck. Before we're completed, we're going to recheck this oil level 2 to 3 more times before we get this unit out there on the road. All right, so that is the proper installation procedure for a Pro-Torque D-cut axle retention device. So when we finished our wheel hub assembly, we're ready to mount and torque our wheels. And what we're going to do is go ahead and we are going to use a battery-powered impact to snug the wheels on so that we can get them to where we can get to torquing. All right, so we're going to run the nuts on until contact, and it seats the drum the wheel all the way to the pilot on the steps of the wheel hub. All right, we're going to do that in a crisscross manner, the same as we will when we're torquing. Run to contact and then quit. Okay, now that our wheel nuts have all been snugged to contact, and we can check our wheel hub to make sure that we're spacing. Our spacing is correct. If we can see, there is no gaps in between our drum and hub, and also there's no gaps between our wheel flange and our drum. We can see on our hub piloted, we can see the same distance on all four legs, okay? So we are now ready to torque the wheel nuts. We need to lower our vehicle down to the ground. Okay, we are ready to torque our wheel nuts. And of course, we're going to set our torque wrench in the clockwise rotation, along with our torque stick in 500 foot-pounds. We're going to start in a crisscross pattern from top to bottom. And there we have it. That's torquing all 10. Now, noticing that you have torqued all 10, you do still need to road test the vehicle and bring it back in and recheck. Okay? And that's the proper torque procedure for a wheel-in and a wheel.